Hey, good evening, everybody. Angelina County, all of my followers that are actually following in, all my cop watchers, all the courtroom watchers, everybody. I wanted to share some good news today. Um, as we know, in Angelina County, we've had a major corruption being exposed, thanks to individuals in Angelina County who rose to the occasion, started asking questions, and didn't like the answers that they were hearing because it didn't make sense. Anyway, here's what the news we have right now. Kerry Kirby, who's the county attorney, is not going to run again. Janet Castles, who is our district attorney, is not going to run again. And also Terry Pitts, who's Precinct 3 commissioner, he's not going to run again. So my take on all this until I think they're getting out before the water gets hot, basically, because of all the evidence that are stacking against them, and also the pressure that's coming from the citizens demanding answers. Won't you know why? So I applaud Angelina County citizens for being interested in participating in the government, because right now we have the wheel started in exposing the corruption, and also just the blatant audacity of our government to think that they can treat us any old way, and we're sitting here to take. We're just sitting here to take it. So anyway, keep in mind that these individuals who have decided not to run also was preceded by Angelina County Sheriff resigning his post. He resigned 2 years early, so there's question marks there. So in other words, is all the dominoes starting to fall? I think so. And the reason why I believe so is because the number of lawsuits that we have pending on Angelina County that are with the district court. They're no longer with the county court. They're filed with the district court. I have. I believe that the subpoenas will be going out here in the next couple of weeks. On one case I know of, and then other multiple cases, they're going to be filed with the district court, not only to penalize the county, but also to root out and expose how far this actually goes. That's my question as well, is how many other individuals are involved and actually knew about this corruption and the illegal dealings that our Angelina County elected officials participated in. Now, I will remind everybody here that with the subpoenas going out, you really can't deny the subpoena. So it would behoove individuals who were working for these people, and behoove individuals who know of this type of corruption that is going on or have been witness to it, to come forward as a whistleblower, to actually maybe put all the pieces of the puzzle together. Maybe you're just a piece of the puzzle, but you need to come forward and file a complaint with the district court. This seems to be rattling the cages of Angelina County. As I said, I used to say a long time ago that Angelina County is like a bubble. Information doesn't get in, and information doesn't get out. Our news agency, I believe, has been threatened by they don't report on county business. They don't report commissioners' meetings. They don't report city council meetings. They don't report on these things, which is vital to the public, not just public information, but also gives an unbiased opinion upon the facts that are actually given. We've had newspapers around us that cover our news media that covers Angelina County, that actually see the story or whatever, and they report on it. Could be good, bad, ugly, or different, whatever, but they report on it, so we know exactly what's going on. Lufkin Daily News chooses and has chosen not to participate, not to come forward, not to report stories from the government, and not to to say anything negative or give an opinion or properly investigate, as investigative journalists should do, to expose or not expose or clear somebody's name or ask questions of individuals with questionable motives. Now, this information is come from a lot of individuals that I know that are actually working behind the scenes. We, the watchdogs, I know that they are actually asking questions just by the number of Freedom of Information requests that actually have been produced to Angelina County asking questions. This put a lot of pressure on individuals because the reason why is because Mr. Deltofino hit on his video because our county attorney, Kerry Kirby, keeps referring Freedom of Information requests to the Attorney General. In other words, just kicking the can down the road. And then also he's able to prepare a legal defense, or he has access to being able to prove in the past where the Attorney General has ruled. But laws change. And unfortunately, in Angelina County, they don't keep up with the changes. One of the big reasons why is because the fact is that, well, we get so accustomed to doing these things. It's like, you know what? Well, what's the point? Nothing's going to change. They're going to keep doing things the old way, the way they perceived it when they were going through or taking jobs here at Angelina County, and continuing the pattern of corruption that's going on. Because why? They said, well, this is the way we've always done it. Unfortunately, they don't recognize current laws to address these issues and to order them by an order of the court, the Texas courts, and also the United States Constitution. They have to follow these rules and they have to follow these laws that they were passed. One of my major concerns right now is HR 31. HR 31 is actually whenever there is a death, either in police custody or in custody by jail personnel or law enforcement officers, then that video has to be released. Now, this law took effect on September the 1st. The death that we're referring to, Mr. Smallwood, happened previous to that, 2-3 months previous to that. So in other words, this bill didn't get signed into law until September the 1st. However, the existing law actually still states that if there is a death, that it is freedom of information, but you have to request it. So they skirted around that one. I still have an appeal with the Attorney General to relook at this case, and also the incoming Attorney General, County Attorney. I'm going to actually re-request this because the fact is this is a piece of information that the public has a right to. If there is a death in our county jail, we as taxpayers have the right to know how it happened, what happened, how this happened, and also what steps are you taking to make sure this doesn't happen again. Accidents happen. However, the fact is that how law enforcement, how we deal with this is that we see what happened, we understand what happened, and we come up with a remedy to make sure that these don't happen again, that these type of incidents don't happen again and they don't get worse. So hats off to Angelina County on that one. Now, I'm going to address another issue that's going on in our county jail. Today, the Texas Department of Justice, they came out, they had a hearing today. One of their major issues that they dealt with was drug abuse or drugs infiltrating the jail. We know that we've all went to a computerized mail system to avoid this, but it still doesn't actually tackle the fact is that it's being brought in still. And so you would look at the guards, you would look at all avenues of how this is getting in. The main subject I want to talk to, I've done a little bit on it, but and I speak from experience on this. Uh, whenever I was in for 142 days and did something stupid, a class A felony. But anyway, I did something stupid. I paid for it. But during that time, saw how jail personnel and how inmates reacted, and basically the general environment of our jail. Here's what bothered me, and I'm sure this was not the only drug that was being abused, but this was the one that was readily available and had the highest. You could sell all your commissary just for this. People would just give all their commissary um, to other individuals, and so it's Seroquel. Now, Seroquel is a psychotic drug that is used to treat schizophrenia and serious mental issues. Now, this was readily available to anybody who was ready to pay the price for. Seroquel was actually available to individuals for their commissary, for favors, or for whatever. Now, these, as far as I saw, these are actually being provided to the inmates by the inmates. However, there's a question that comes up is that the medical personnel there, if you go, let's say, for example, you go and you get in jail, okay, and you're going to spend some time there, then you're going to be prescribed medication from your doctor. Let's say you go in and you're taking blood pressure medication. Well, that will be continued to be distributed to you through the jail procedure or when they hand out meds. But here's the loophole. The loophole is that once you have done your time or you get out, probation or whatever, your prescriptions still go to the jail for a period of 30 to 90 days. Now, you would think that the jail would actually be responsible for reporting that these individuals are out of jail and that you could discontinue their use or whatever. However, the fact is that the individual has to contact the agency and or contact the prescriber and let them know that they've relocated or they're in a new address or whatever. So this process takes 30 to 60 days as well. So you have a time lapse of 3 months to 9 months to where all this paperwork processes, but meantime, the drugs are still being delivered there in the jail. So now you got an excess of drugs there. Nobody is being handed out these drugs. So once they keep somebody going through these drugs, finding out the drugs that actually inmates are requiring or they need to actually use as bartering chips for commissary, extra phone calls, you name it. Um, People will just for Seroquel, they would give up their phone privileges, they would give up their commissary, they would do favors. They would actually call people on the outside to do favors for people on the inside. So it was a big market, and it was a big issue there. And it wasn't like it was not known to jail officials. It was known. We had a couple of times where they raided our pod, and they actually found Seroquel. They actually knew who was actually distributing. He was counseled, brought back, just continued the same behavior. Now, this behavior, you would think, since the guards all knew about it, then they would actually put it up the chain of command. Well, the issue is that the supervisors there knew about it as well. No harm, no foul, So this is the institution that this is what goes on in the jail currently. Now, back in 2020, the same issue came up because when they went through inspection for their jail facility, it was noted and they were put non-compliant because the fact is the way they were distributing drugs, the way they were handing out drugs, if they were doing them on time, if they were giving the proper amount, whatever, and they got busted because there was some kind of custody issue that they addressed, and you can look it up under jail complaints under Angelina County. And there are multiple complaints over the years, and they all involved um, uh, the appropriation or the distribution of drugs. Number two, the jail guards not counting or not checking on prisoners as they were required. And also three, there was an issue. There's been an issue of when they throw you in detox, then they forget about you. Case in point. And Mr. Smallwood, I keep saying this, but anyway, this is just boggled my mind. Mr. Smallwood was taken to jail at 9:52. He was, in my opinion, he was restrained. Autopsy report says it's by accident. But at 11:36, they reported him non-responsive. And the coroner's time of death was 11:36. Here's the kicker. He was not officially booked till 12:28. That's an hour after he died. I've covered this anyway. It's still a burr in my craw because I can't get anybody that will actually give me the time frame of what actually happened. Now, the Lufkin Police Department, they have been more than willing to actually give videos, all the information they got, and they've actually released it from a Freedom of Information request. However, they didn't have they had the video of him being arrested. They've provided that, but it gets murky whenever the Angelina County Jail, whenever they took custody of Mr. Smallwood, there is no record except for a video that they will not release. Three things. If you're not going to release the video, then how do we know that our jail is safe? Two things. Second thing is the fact is what's the proper procedures that you do when you're restraining an individual? I checked on this. The proper way of restraining an individual is basically set forth by Texas jails, TDC, but it also goes to county jails. This also applies. You have to have 8 people to cover each pressure point or constraint point. You have to have a supervisor there, and you have to have a medical personnel there. So in this instance, what happened is that he was arrested for intoxication, taken to jail. 9 times out of 10, they put him in detox, where he lost his, because he was under, admittedly by Lufkin Police Department, there was something else going on with him. They suspected drugs, but they couldn't test for drugs there or whatever. But they did receive information that he was AMA, which means he needed a medical assistance. It was going out over the wires. All the agencies were aware, because whenever they called in, the dispatch informed the Lufkin Police Department that he had been AMA, which means medical assistance required, and they were looking for him throughout the course of the day. The exact words of the dispatcher was this: well, he's not technically AMA, but we've been looking for him all day. I don't understand what technically means. So that has a question, plus the time frame we've all established. Then the restraints that were applied, which were documented by the coroner, that he had been in restraints, and the fact is that his blood pressure was elevated. And this is what the medical personnel said, his blood pressure was high, but it was in range of a person being intoxicated. Now that raises questions to me too, because the fact is that, okay, you don't even know what this guy's intoxicated on. So what's the normal range for intoxication? I mean, how far out of the guidelines do you have to go? How much do you, at what point in time did you decide that it was in range, and what was the range? Even though you reported it's high, but it was in range. Well, what is the range? That was questionable. The second thing is that if he was in a psychotic state, which he was, because we know this because he was talking to people who weren't there in the police car. He was talking to individuals to where the Lufkin police officer had to ask him, "Who you talking to, man?" His exact answer was, "I'm talking to my girlfriend. She's over there." He said, "Man, there's nobody there." No, she's over there. She's over there. Come to a point where Lufkin Police Department en route to the jail ask him, "Man, who you talking to, man?" Because he was just rambling on. He was actually, if you look at the video, he was experiencing a psychotic moment, whether drug induced or a mental illness. Either way, he needed medical attention, especially after you knew that he was already called in by a local hospital, that he needed medical attention. And Lufkin PD, they delivered him off at the Angelina County Sheriff's Department, which that gets murky. Sheriff Selman says he will not release that video. He will not release that video ever. He says that he checked with the family and they don't want to have it released as well. He was the only person who has spoken with the family. So then now it's wishy-washy. Is he telling us the truth? Is he not? Or he just doesn't want to disclose this? Now, technically and legally, if a death occurs in a jail, the public has right to know this information, like I said earlier. So we can prevent it from happening again. This was not done. We still don't know. There's still questions. So we don't know the questions, and we don't know exactly what transpired. The only way we'll know is release of the video. That's it. We have a right to know what happens in our county jail. Now, the excuse is that, well, it would reveal security cameras that would cause that terrorists could use on our jail, or could be used for illegal activity. Okay, well, in other words, don't you keep records of those? Don't you keep records to identify people when they're patrolling? And then every inmate in there knows where the cameras are. It's one of the first things you notice. So I understand that argument, especially after the fact is we got HR 31 out there that says if there's a death occurs in your custody, you need to actually show all the evidence, not just partially what you pick out. The individuals who were there on duty, I have the list of them, and I will release those after the Attorney General's ruling. I will release those to actually apply more pressure, because I believe that these individuals who were there on duty, I believe they should actually be, they actually should provide a disposition of what they were, where they saw it, what happened, and develop a timeline. These individuals have not been questioned. If they have been questioned, there was one spokesperson that actually came out and told us what the guards told him, and he made a statement. He wasn't there. The logbooks don't jive to what he's saying, his story, and they don't tell us the entire story of what happened to this individual. This is not the first death that we've had in Angelina County. The previous one, the earliest one that I can remember, was a young lady who passed away from pneumonia. Sheriff Selman's issue as well. She died in the hospital. I don't know about you, but my experience with pneumonia, you just don't catch that shit overnight. There's a progression of pneumonia where you keep getting worse. If protocol was followed, then she would have been separated and she would have been put into a solitary confinement cell. so other people don't get sick or what she has. They don't know. They didn't know what she had or whatever. She was just sick and kept getting sicker. So they put her in solitary confinement. And guess what? She goes in. She goes into arrest. They put her in the hospital. It was not our fault. It's the hospital's fault. Well, pneumonia, by God, you have to have pneumonia for a while for it to cause death. So you can't tell me. So you can't tell me that the guards didn't notice that this person was in distress. And if they did notice it, not report it, we got another problem. So this is the story that I'm dealing with right now. Like I said, I want to reiterate thanks to everyone who got involved and participated in their government, started asking questions why, starting at how come, where does it say so, and these kind of things. Now, we are putting pressure on the AG and the Inspector General to review this case and to review the actual substance of the case, as opposed to just reading case law from Kerry Kirby. I will go on record to say this. Any, and I know this is going to be a monumental task, but any person who took a plea deal, any person who was convicted by Janet Castles, any person who served jail time, they need to have their case reviewed. This includes Don Limberly and his guilty of Freedom of Information Act. So in other words, all these cases are subject to corruption. One other item, the main character in the courtroom who used to walk through the courtroom at his leisure and just to disappear from court hearings or whatever, Mr. Tatum, he resigned as well. He's not hearing cases anymore. So you see how things are starting to fall into place? Do you see? And pretty soon, people that are in Angelina County, as we've seen by Mr. Del Sofino's videos, there are people coming forward and say, you know what, this is what happened to me. I'm reporting it. Does it make sense? Can you put together a pattern? And yes, in these instances, we can. We can actually look back and see where this corruption, how it happened, what we suspected it was happening, what actually happened. And now we're seeing individuals, instead of getting criminal charges against them, they're resigning and not running again. So we did our job as citizens. We did. And we did ask questions. I hope we continue to do so, because I don't think this is as far as it goes. I don't think that these individuals are the only ones. I caused question to Ms. Jill Brewer, who has gotten up and said she can't account for $4 million. 2 years ago, we lost $3 million, but all of a sudden she just found it, So we got a treasurer who can't find out, don't know where the money's going, and are making decisions on who we invest with, what type of investments we have, CDs, what loans we accept, what terms do we accept. We have a counter treasurer, a treasury who's actually making these decisions regarding our money. And if you watch the commissioner's meeting, she didn't have any answers. The best she could come up with is, I don't know. I'm working on that. I don't know, but if I lost $100 and my wife spent $100, I'd want to know where in the hell to go. What'd you spend it on? I wouldn't be mad. I said, well, what did you spend it on? Or if I asked, well, how much money we got in the bank? She can tell me. You think the county treasurer ought to be able to do that? And any time, say, how much money we got in the bank? You should know that as a treasurer. How much money we got in the bank? Well, we have this much in there. However, we got this much going out, and we got this much coming in. And you'd have to go, okay, bro, I just didn't ask that question. But anyway, thank you for giving me all that information. But we can't even get where $4 million went to. Come on, man. All right, guys. Thank you for watching the video. Please share it. You don't have to like it. Just share it there's other individuals out there who actually are interested in what's happening in Angelina County, because they're actually proactive, and they're actually seeing the type of corruption, and they're actually finding out in their own counties or whatever how these multiple games are being played. And that's very vital, because it's not only just happening here, it's happening to every county around there. And every piece of information you can get, it gives you something to actually look forward to and help you put the pieces of the puzzle together. So you guys be good, be careful, keep your powder dry. And hey, nice job, guys. It ain't over with yet. I'm out.